In this episode, I visit with Jen Uren, who will talk to us at Podfest Expo about how to hire a VA for your podcast work. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back for another episode. And today I'm thrilled to have with me Jen Uren. Jen, first of all, welcome. And thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me today.
Thanks for having me here.
Jen, could you tell us your role in podcasting?
Absolutely. Like I said, my name is Jen Uren, and I've had the pleasure of being in podcasting for a couple of years now. It began when I started my own podcast, This Mom Knows, 2 years ago, and then it continued when I had the privilege of using all those things that I learned to coach others as they got their podcasts up and running. But most currently, it's as the co founder of Podcast VA Association, where my primary role in podcasting is to provide training for virtual assistants so that they have the skills to support podcasters. And then once they're trained, we help podcasters find those VAs through our podcast VA direct.
I have a podcast VA, and she's just been a godsend. So I am a huge fan, and I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on it. Could you tell us what your talk is going to be at Podfest Expo 2023 and maybe give us a teaser or two?
Sure, absolutely. So, the topic of my talk is on working with a podcast VA. As my personal podcast began to grow and as I got to know other podcasters, I discovered that there were many podcasters like me who were at risk of giving into pod fade because we were creators and that repetitive maintenance task of dropping an episode each week was not capitalizing on our strengths as content creators. But while most of us knew that we wanted or needed help with our podcast, we didn't have any clue on how to start with getting that help. So, trying to figure out what to delegate to someone else and then how to find that VA who's ready to work with your podcast, that can be just as overwhelming as doing those tasks. And so, that's often when podcasters quit. So, our goal is to be the cure for pod fade. And after hearing my talk, podcasters will have confidence to move forward with hiring a VA. We'll answer many of their questions, including a list of specific tasks that they can start to outsource now, as well as an understanding of what are the steps involved with actually hiring that help.
Jen, through this podcast series, I've talked to several people who are giving talks, and the people who, when they describe their talk and describe some of the takeaways you'll get, are takeaways that you can actually implement either during the talk or immediately thereafter. I find
Right.
to be the most exciting. And so I'm really interested to hear your thoughts on this. I'm a huge fan of VAs, and I know I can learn a lot from your experience. And let me conclude by asking, what do you hope to get out of Podfest Expo 2023 in January?
Oh, yeah. I'm really excited for this. This will be my first time to attend, but whenever Podfest is mentioned in any podcasting conversation, I only hear great things about it. So there's something amazing that happens when creatives gather together. And so I'm really looking forward to meeting podcasters, discovering new podcasts for myself, as well as discovering how Podcast VA Association can really serve podcasters as they grow their shows. Plus, I'm from Northwest Indiana, so it doesn't hurt one bit that it's in Florida in the middle of winter.
I went to college in Michigan, so amen to that.
You got it.
Jen, I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to visit with me. Before we leave, if anyone wanted more information on yourself, your podcast, or a podcast VA association, what would be the best place for them to go to find out?
Yeah, so they can find me at podcastvaassociation.com. My podcast is thismomknows.com.
Jen, thanks so much. I'm greatly looking forward to meeting you in January and greatly looking forward to your talk. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
This is Tom Fox again. I hope you'll plan to join myself and Jen Uren at Podfest Expo 2023 in Orlando from January 26th to 29th. I look forward to meeting you there. Thank you for listening.